man don't know shit.
All right, it's a snowy Saturday night and it's episode 27 already. Man, moving on, super excited today. I have Mike and Toni from the Abruptors from the USA, ska. Super clean, super chill. And yeah, played a bunch of stuff with them and I can't wait to sit down and see their faces. And I would like to mention that this episode is brought to you by Mark and Wesley Guidry. Thank you very much. You are the producers of this episode. And for future producers, the PayPal link is underneath the video. Any tip will do, no matter how big or small, you become a producer of the next episode. How community is that, right? Don't forget to subscribe and slap that little bell thingy up, you know, make it ring. And it definitely helps the show. And let's get it on. All right.
Oh, K-Man don't know shit.
Brother, sister, Toni, Mike, how you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Where are we today?
At my house, Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. And right before we just talked for a second, when was it the last time we saw each other?
February in this house. Well, actually, I guess if we want to get technical, Pittsburgh, right? We played that show in Pittsburgh together.
That's right. Yeah.
We went back off to Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Time flies. A year already.
A year. I know. It really feels like you guys were here just a few months ago.
You know, if we just took the last year and kind of like erased it, it would have been a month ago.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. How you guys holding up with this pandemic and shit? Like, what's going on over there? Are they on curfews or lockdowns or anything like that?
No, when you told me yesterday you had a curfew, I was shocked because we don't have curfews, but they have
really
up until recently, they shut everything down. So like no going out to eat, no bars, nothing. We went to pick up some food, just some takeout today. And they just opened up restaurants again.
Yeah. It's wild times, man.
Yeah.
Just at 8 o'clock here, there's a cop car that drives really slow up the street with the lights on, and it's curfew. It's heavy stuff. Helicopters over Montreal and stuff like that. Yeah,
oh my God.
It's like 100% locked down.
Wow. But honestly, though, I mean, Canada's doing so much better than we are. So it's like there's got to be a method to that that's working.
Well, I mean, I guess what they say it's all about, and look, it isn't perfect here. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like there's curfew, but schools are open and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird. But I mean, what it is, the hospitals are getting overrun, right? And it's just to slow stuff down so the hospitals can keep up. Basically, that's what the mentality is, you know?
Sure.
Because there's no just stopping it.
Right. Well, hopefully with this vaccine, you know, given time and everybody stop being an idiot and actually gets it, like, you know, then maybe we can.
Is it going out to the people now?
It is. Actually, our drummer, he's a fireman, so he's a first responder, and he already got it, and he's getting his second dose this week. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Because like here they got it, but it's going to be slow to roll it out to the people.
Yeah. It's only like 3% right now that's got it, so it's going to be a while, but at least it started, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But it's fucked up. I mean, right now too, and like we can't escape the news or anything like that. What's the vibe on the street? The USA is fucking weird times going on down there, man.
Well, we got everything from the virus to the president, you know, it's insane right now. Like, I remember we've been mixing this new EP and we were doing it with Rick Johnson, a Mustard Plug, and he was texting me and he goes, okay, I just put up the first mix. Let me know what you think. And I'm like, hey, it's really good, man. I'm like, but like, I think you're missing some of these oohs at the end. And he goes, hold that thought. He goes, I'm watching the USA fall apart right now. What? And so I look, and that's when they were storming the Capitol. And I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. So it's like, you know, we can't catch a break. We have people storming the Capitol. We're not doing well with the virus. It's just not going good for us right now.
Nah, man. Nah. Well, that's why I was asking, like, what is the vibe on the street? Are people freaking out? Is everybody chill and just, you know, in denial? Like, what's going on over there?
I don't know. It's definitely a diverse place to live because you got.
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know, some people who.
Toni, you're gonna have to somehow get closer to the microphone. I can't really hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, cool. It's a mix of both. You have people who, you know, are still going out to eat, are still hanging out with all their friends, like nothing is, you know, seemingly going on. And then you have people who just see anybody because they're truly quarantining. So it's a mixed bag of, what everybody's doing.
And then politically, sadly, we have so many people that actually side with the president. It's hard to know who your friends are anymore because a lot of revelations have happened these past 4 years.
It's such an interesting and huge subject that, like, I don't really know anybody that likes the president. It's kind of weird. I'm like, these people exist though. I guess there's just such a line that the people aren't mixing. So like none of my friends do,
Right. Well, what blows my mind is the amount of ska fans that like the president.
Really?
It absolutely. So Mustard Plug, mutual friends of ours, great dudes. They made a post of, we don't want people who are racist being our fans and stuff. Things that you would expect from a ska band. Awesome stuff. And there's this one guy I know he lives somewhere around Buffalo, but he's followed you guys. He's followed us. He's followed Mustard Plug. And he's an older gentleman. And he put on their post, well, you just lost a fan. If you don't trust our president, then I can't be friends with you. And I'm like, what is your problem? You're at every ska show. You claim you love this music, but like, do you have any idea what it's about or where it's from? Like, crazy Trumper. It's weird.
It really is weird. I mean, like, whoa, crazy echo going on. It's just weird because in like even normal good times, I'm not really a fan of politicians to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, and here it's like the richest, most spoon-fed, fucking gross, fucking racist, sexist, making fun of people with disabilities, like, having an escort for a wife type fucking deal. Like, it's mind-boggling. It's funny. I somehow ended up on Donald Trump's mailing list, and he sends out about 20 emails a day.
Oh.
And then I start understanding why people believe him and why people kind of get confused and stuff, because it's just the amount of propaganda, like 20 emails a day. Just look what they're doing to us. We stand with you. Come on, you're a patriot and all this type of stuff, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I can't blame anybody.
No, because it is like Nazi propaganda. How did all of Germany fall into that? It's the same way they fell into Donald Trump. They push you so hard, they bombard you with all of this garbage until eventually you start going, oh man, maybe that is true, and it's just.
Well, that's it, and like I was saying, I mean, I'm not a flag waver by any means. I'm not anytime people start talking like our country is the best, I'm not even talking USA or Canada or anywhere, but anytime people are like, we're the best, we get our vaccine first, we're going to do better than the others. As soon as people start talking like that, I'm like, fuck
exactly.
Shit. Because like, when did this happen that you want to be better than the others? Whatever happened to be like, I want all my friends around the world to be doing pretty fucking good. Yep. You know what I mean? That's what I wake up thinking.
Exactly. I've always thought that. I loved growing up. I loved every culture. I always, I think it was the best thing about Buffalo is you grow up being so close to another country, and it's like, it's awesome because most Buffalonians, they spend so much time in Canada. You get to have that feeling of multiculturalism because of Toronto, and stuff like that, where it's a mixing pot of everybody, and it's awesome. And that's how I grew up. I grew up like wanting to meet everybody from everywhere.
Well, it never even occurred to me that like visiting another country wasn't normal because my family used to just do grocery shopping in Canada.
Right.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Canadians went for cheaper stuff down there, but I guess sometimes it goes both
back
ways,
when I was a kid, like you could spend so much money, American money in Canada, and you just feel great because it was
walk away with all the maple syrup.
Yeah. Dad used to come back with coffee cups, candy bars. I don't know. Dill pickled flavored chips.
Dill pickled chips. I haven't had those in years. I think I need some in my life.
Yeah, but so, I mean, like, go ahead.
Well, with this pandemic and through this crazy time, I am aware. I mean, luckily with social media and stuff, like, you get to know what your friends are up to. You guys seem busy doing something all the time.
What's funny is it didn't start out that way. So, like, we had, let's say February when we left you. We had this really amazing, and I mean amazing year for us. We were going to go back to Canada, meet back up with you. We were going to go to Poozza Fest. We were going to do, oh my God. Oh, we had Matt from the Planet Smashers Stomp. He actually invited us to do a 3-day tour with him and the Planet Smashers, doing these awesome, like I think it was another festival in Quebec. And we were so excited. And then when everything happened, everything just got canceled. And we were left with nothing because everything was just shows. And so when they said you need to quarantine, don't see your friends, we didn't see each other for 4 or 5 months, maybe.
Holy shit! Yeah, man.
Nothing. I got in a bit of depression. I was just like, oh my God, this has been my life. I threw away my adult life to be a musician. You know, I didn't plan. I had this conversation with you when you were in Buffalo. Like, we're lifers. We're in this for life. So it's like, I don't know what else to do. So
well, that's it. And you just said the most important thing I can think of, because all my friends, and usually I'm a pretty all right guy. Like, I don't, you know, I can take hits. I don't usually get down and stuff like that, you know. But I got to admit, in the last 2 days, fuck, did it hit me hard, man. Not sleeping or sleeping too much, you know.
Mhm.
Like, for musicians, I mean, your whole career or life is just like being with a bunch of people, all your friends, and sharing good times and having other people feel good, you know, and giving all your energy to other people. And it's like, you know, I'm on this little down right now, and it's weird. I'm weirding myself out. I'm not used to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if I'm feeling that way, I think there's a lot of musicians right now, even if they have other jobs and stuff like that, they're having a real hard time.
Yeah. I mean, I only have my job to keep the music going. So when I don't have the music, my job's awful. It doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. So, you know, it's been tough, but I think after those, let's just say 4 months, we decided we needed to get back together. Things were, I don't want to say getting better, but they were enough where you could see each other. And we started playing again. But then something else happened, which was weird. And we figured, honestly, we would save it for your show rather than anywhere else. So we ended up just parting ways with a few band members.
Mm-hmm.
We figured, you know, in the virus, we were just like, we do it now or we don't do it at all. Or people just weren't into it anymore. Their heart wasn't in it. And like, but they were still hanging on, and you're just like, you know, now it's making the band weird. You gotta go. So we thought everything was fine. And, you know, like I said, no more shows. It didn't really matter. We're going to regroup during this time. And we got hit with a letter from a lawyer.
What?
And yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So, well, it started at first, one of our band members had trademarked the name the Abruptors without the knowledge of anyone else in the band, like years ago, like 2018, I think he trademarked it. But we didn't realize it. So when we, you know, decided it was time to part ways, he hit us with like, well, just so you know, the Abruptors are done. And we were like, what? I don't think that's how that works. And we were right. That's not, you know.
Yeah. If you look into it, there's like what they call common law. And I'd been using the name because I created the band in 2015, and I'd been using the name since then. And he only had a trademark to 2018. So it didn't work.
But who the fuck does that? I had to say it. Like, what the fuck?
We were
Who
like,
the hell
is
runs to a lawyer? You know what I mean? This is about fucking, you know, having music continue and carry on.
But it got worse than that.
It got worse.
He didn't just run. So he trademarked the name over 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So when it was time for us to part ways with one another, he actually sent us a cease and desist letter from a lawyer saying, like, you need to stop everything Abruptors related because I own the name rightfully. And we were like, what are you trying to do? Like, we didn't quite understand. So we actually ended up having to file a trademark cancellation through the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board. And that cost us $3,000 to do that. And eventually, you know, we had to settle, but we got our name back. So you might have noticed that, like, you know, some people might have noticed that our stuff wasn't on Spotify and our stuff wasn't on Bandcamp. And
he started taking down our stuff.
Like, he was sending, basically cease and desist notices to all of these different places. He actually sent it to the distributor that Asian Man Records works with.
Nick started fucking with Mike Park. Mike Park was like, and I'm like, So, but let me just say this, Mike could have easily distanced himself from us and said, fuck you guys, you're causing me trouble. Instead, Mike was on our side, standing by us the whole time. He was
That's amazing. That's
awesome.
really great. I still can't wrap my head around, what does somebody have to gain except for trying to settle and grab a couple of bucks from somebody? Like,
No,
who
it
does
was
that?
just
Don't you want the
vindictive.
music to continue? You know, like,
He was just
why?
being vindictive. We thought to ourselves, if you put that much effort into trademarking the name behind our back, if you put that effort into the band, you'd still be in the band. Like that, it was like, it's not hard. And honestly, it's funny because out of anybody in the band, that person probably did the least. So it was like, out of anybody to own the name, it wouldn't have been you.
No, it's fucked up. And like what I get from this too, I mean, like I'll go back to the pandemic. I mean, relationships, marriages, bands. It's really where it's kind of, you know, on the last episode, as with a man in Montreal called Paul Cagnello, who's really well known and respected here. And we're talking about how it's like really just a test. This whole pandemic is to separate the people and see who's real about what they're doing. Because if you're going to stick it through the pandemic, well, you're going to make it through anything after, you know?
And you're absolutely right. And that's really what we were thinking about when all this went down, is we were like, my God, we love this band, but some of us don't. So maybe it's time to take the people who love this band and push forward. And I talked with Mike Park a bit because, you know, I look at him as like, I grew up listening to everything he ever did. You know, his bands were the soundtrack to my life. And I've been lucky enough to become friends with him. And I look for advice when I talk to him, and he gives me good advice. And he said, Mike, he just goes, just do it. He goes, there are people who are going to drag you down. And if they do, just let them go and then keep on pushing on. He goes, don't worry about it. And so, you know, we did. And like I said, he stuck by us, which was awesome because, man, if he was anybody else, he could have cut us loose and just said, you know, you guys are causing me trouble. Get out of here. But he stuck by us.
Cheers to Mike Park.
You got that right. Yeah, Mike Park's the best. So we were super happy with him. Just being an awesome friend. And we found this lovely, like on a really good positive note, we found this lovely young woman who plays trombone and trumpet.
Cool.
And she just like, you know, during a pandemic of all times. And she has been awesome playing with us right now. So everything.
She just loves it.
She loves it. She loves being here. She is so just appreciative and grateful. And it's just her attitude is so awesome. So,
every once in a while, getting some fresh energy is not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, long story short, we actually last week officially settled it and it's ours.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Yeah, it was really cool. And we were really happy because we had all these things we've been working on. Like I said,
well, that's it. What are you working on?
So right now we have an EP we just finished with Rick Johnson of Mustard Plug. And we, just before we got on the call with you, we're working on another like homemade music video like we did for With My Luck.
DIY for B-side type.
Oh, yeah. But we were having a lot of fun with it. So it's going to be a 3-song EP, a brand new tune, a cover song by Brian Fallon originally from Geraci. And then we're doing a redo of an original Abruptors song called Someday. And it's funny because when we originally recorded that one, I just hated the way it came out. I couldn't stand it. And our horns at the time, who haven't been in the band for years, but they were so bad that I actually had to hire horn players to play on it. So it never felt like our song because it was like all the things I had to do to, you know, and I hated my voice on it. I just hated it. So I wanted we called the EP Moving On because we feel in so many aspects we're just moving on. So I wanted to move on from that song, and it's actually our most popular song. It's like that.
It's funny how that works out, you know? Hey,
right, it's got, oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Right before sitting down with you guys, I listened to this today. Look, all signed up.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Fantastic, fantastic album.
Thank you.
Really. And the song I was tripping on today is I Have My Day.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic song. You know, like for all people talking about pandemics that are having relationship problems and stuff like that, that's actually kind of uplifting through that. And that's not something you feel every day.
No. And that was actually during a specific time. When I wrote that album, I wrote it, I guess, between two different relationships, basically. And with one, she had kept me so down. Like, let me give you a little example. We're going back years now, but she didn't want me to get a license because she was afraid that I'd go spend time with my friends. Like that kind of control. So, right. So
Ciao, Bella.
of my day was basically, you can keep me down, but I'm going to have my day. I'm going to have my time. And that's how I wrote that song. And it went through so many different versions. There was a version where I sang it and it was like, oh, it was so bad. And I think there was a version with me doing the backups on the verses. And then when Toni came along, I was like, you got to do these. So
That's awesome.
We have some really funny versions of how that song used to go.
It was like a weird slow reggae jam before, right? Like,
yeah, it was super
he showed
slow.
me because I joined the band like 3 years into it, so I didn't hear a lot of the original ways, right? And he showed me the original way, and I was
so
like,
bad.
oh my God, what is that? Like it was, but the way it came out was really,
we were really happy
good.
with the way that album, like, was, for me, it was like a way to let go of a lot of bad things that had happened. Some people go to therapy. I tried. And then you get to that point where the therapist is like, now write down your feelings and crumple up the note and throw it into the air and let go. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me.
I got really high with a therapist.
There you go. She didn't offer me. She offered me cookies, but I didn't want any. So I was like, I'm going to write songs about how I feel. And that's ended up what Love and Other Disasters was, hence the name. It was just like, there's definitely a point when we were finishing that where we had gone out to California to play the Asian Man 20th anniversary. And that's when the second relationship was just at its bitter end. And I was so miserable and I should have been so happy because I was out there at the Asian Man 20th anniversary and I'm sitting in an airport just staring at my phone. Oh, it was horrible. So, but it's a great album because it let me let go of a lot of that stuff.
What I find really interesting about that is I don't normally write about relationships and stuff like that. And the other day I did bring a new song that kind of touched on that kind of thing. Yeah. And it takes a lot of courage to really write about how you feel, and especially knowing that the song might involve somebody else in it, and all of a sudden I have a new respect for people that write about relationships, because that might be one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I was so afraid to do it in my old bands that I would start writing about things like beer and fighting. And then I would think of myself and go, I don't drink beer or fight. So there's nothing in this that's like relatable to me. And one day I just started writing songs about how I was feeling and how things made me feel. And I had a guy in the band, and I'm sure you've run into people like this. He would tell me, he goes, dude, he's like, that's not punk rock. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm having emotions. Like, fuck you. And he just, it was like, he was that it's not punk rock guy. And I was like, you gotta go. And that's how I started with Abruptors.
I hate my fucking emotions.
I was so like, I'm gonna write about things I know about. Right now, I just know a lot of fucking pain, man. So fuck off.
How punk rock is that, motherfucker?
Exactly. So it's just, I was sick and tired of that mentality. And that's what started the Abruptors. I was just like, I'm gonna write about feelings, man. I got a lot of them. So,
that's wild.
What's that?
That's wild. And what I was kind of holding on to here that Toni said a while back, that she came into the band 2 or 3 years after it started, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you are such a fundamental piece of this band, Toni.
Oh, she's the other half. Like, she totally is. Because and I say this all the time, we weren't like the Abruptors until she joined. Before, it was me just having fucking feelings.
So nice.
Because you are. When I was just having a bunch of fucking feelings, man, it was just me just like spitting shit out. But then when she came, she added her own feelings and then added a certain level of professionalism.
Oh, you mean maturity?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Put him on track.
Oh, she has to, because I'm good at the writing and the playing and having a good time. I'm not good at online stuff. I'm not good at not being an asshole. There's a lot of.
We had a serious discussion yesterday about how we manage projects.
Yeah. I just don't know what it's like. I'm just not good with that stuff. So, but yeah, no. When she joined the band, she became the second part of it. I mean,
well, that's it, because you're doing quite a bit in the band, Toni. Like, tell the people here what you're playing.
So I started out playing saxophone, and then after a little while, I started doing backup vocals, which then evolved into lead vocals. And then when we, made some changes in the band, I also started playing keyboards. So there's a lot that I'm doing
Yeah.
when we play.
You're a good hired gun.
Yeah.
We had a practice today, and it was great. The five of us, like, she was, she picks up the sax when the song calls for it, but if not, she's playing those keys, singing the leads. She's awesome. So
You guys are 5 in the band now.
yeah.
That's perfect. That's a
Yes.
good number of people.
Yes. And what's funny is, like, you say that, and we had somebody from our label mates, Monkey, who are also on Asian Man Records, and that guy personally went out of his way, Todd, and he was just like, hey, he's like, let me tell you something. He's like, Monkey did its best work when we were 5. And I feel that. There's less people to wrangle. It's like herding cats. It can be ridiculous.
I mean, in a band, one of the realities is that you have to get together. And the more people there are, the more chance there is of not being all together, right? And especially when it comes to shows or fitting in a vehicle to get to the show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, but then talk about issues. How about when, we brought you to Buffalo and to Pittsburgh, and you brought us to Toronto and Elora, but we went down to 6 when we went to Elora with you because somebody got banned from Canada. So when you end up dealing with more people, you have more issues. And I want to give a special shout out to Matt from Stomp Records, because when he was here with the Planet Smashers, he looked at me and he goes, he's illegally living in Canada. He goes, he's going to get banned. And sure enough, just a few months later, he sure did.
Banned. Actually, I think it was after a show.
Yeah.
We went to
It
go
was
back
after,
across-
yeah, it was
we went to go
after,
back
oh, it was
across the
after a Big
border.
D show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got
went across the
kicked out.
border and he couldn't go back in.
And so we went to come play with you, and he tried to get in, and he phoned me and he goes, yeah, man, they wouldn't let me in. And I'm like, no kidding, you were banned, you idiot. Like, so it just ended up,
That's even more funny because we almost didn't make it to the States. They found an empty they found an empty baggie and an old jacket that some guy in the band was wearing. It may or may not have been me. And their dog sat in the middle of the van and it just didn't know where to go, so it just sat in the middle. O'Connell. We've got to write a song for O'Connell at the border, our best friend.
It's funny, but you did make it through. That was the best part.
And it wasn't because of O'Connell.
Right. So that was, so
Was the dog's name O'Connell?
that was probably the border.
Wait, pardon me? What was that?
Was that the dog? The name of the dog was O'Connell?
I want to say yes, but no, it was. No, one of the border cops was the plain bad cop there. He was all over my shit. He's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It looks like an empty bag of weed, man." I'm like, what do you think it is? Dumbass.
Oh,
It's funny. But
Yeah.
it's been really great. Just with the 5 of us, it's been super productive. We've got the EP. We actually just finished our 2nd album demos, which is super exciting. Tony and I actually wrote most of these songs like a year ago. We used to do Saturday night hangouts, which is what tonight is, and we would watch things like 90 Day Fiance, and we would watch Schitt's Creek.
Right. I know all about that.
Love Schitt's Creek. So we were just, and then we would write some tunes, and then we bring.
I'm gonna have Schitt's Creek in a minute if I keep drinking this stuff.
But that's how we wrote the 2nd album. It was just me and her. And it was great because the first album was like, a lot of it was just me, like I said, having feelings.
Mhm.
This one is just both of us like wondering what happens after that big relationship in your life. Like, where do you go from there? So it has a lot of the same principles as the first album, but it's also the next evolution, the next step of what do you do after that? So, because we don't want to harp on the same thing for forever, you know what I mean?
No, you got to harp on the next girlfriend, man.
Well, exactly. But now we can both harp on our different scenarios and different lives and what has happened. And we've been playing a lot of these songs for a while. So,
Well, we're talking about songwriting, which is like one of my favorite subjects in the world. Now, you guys are playing ska.
Mhm.
Are your influences mostly ska bands or ska related, or do your influences come from the outside and then you put it into ska? That's usually 2 different avenues for ska musicians, right?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's like 50-50. So like I grew up just loving ska, so there's definitely that major influence. But then I also grew up loving like 90s punk rock. So like two of my favorite bands that I always relate to are Green Day and The Living End. So I just loved a lot of the stuff that they did, and they were huge influences on me growing up. So it's definitely a 50-50 for me.
That makes sense.
I think for me, it's more about the lyrics. So I'm all about bands and musicians who really focus on more kind of poetry, I guess, if that makes sense. And a lot of the way we work is I'll just write something and send it to Mike, and he'll come up with an idea musically for it that fits into skull, and that is skull. We may have already had too much to drink, but then we work from there. So he'll take my lyrics and he'll fit it into kind of a ska feel, and then from there I'll come up with horn lines, and it'll evolve, and we'll argue about where we want it to go, and we end up with what I think is a really cool album. But our songwriting process is a lot of fun.
It's been becoming better, because I feel like the last couple songs we've wrote, I would write the majority of the words, and then she'll add like a bridge lyrically, and it's almost like it was just one person still writing it, because she knows exactly where I was going, how I was feeling, and it's just like she can carry that feeling through the song. So it's awesome.
That's really cool.
Worked with anybody like that. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because like when I'm talking about songwriting, obviously, there's music and words and music, melody, and all this kind of thing. And I'm sometimes curious about, like, whoever may influence me musically is not necessarily who influences me lyrically.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, do you guys is it a similar vibe, or do you have somebody like a singer or a lyricist or a poet or a writer that does influence you? Or I don't know. I've never asked anybody that before.
I think Mike will hate my answer, but
I think I know it, but go ahead.
Yeah, you know it. So there are a couple bands that I've kind of followed throughout my life. One of them is the Spill Canvas, and he's very like emo rock, kind of super poetry type of guy. And I really enjoy him. Another one I'm slightly embarrassed to admit, and that's why he's giving me thumbs up and rolling his eyes, because he knows what I'm about to say. I absolutely love Taylor Swift. And, not her like Patron lyrics, but the ones that are actually, I think one of the first songs I sent him from Taylor Swift included
Bumpin' Like Patron.
Bumpin' Like Patron. And he was like,
does that mean?
He was like, oh, this is not the quality I was expecting. But the rest of it, she writes, I feel some of them are super lyrically poetic. So I like when you can listen to a song and not know exactly what they're talking about, but relate to it in your own special way.
No, I would.
And I feel like bands like that really influence me, because they have lyrics you can really feel, and they could be talking about a situation that you're not even relating to entirely, but you've made it your own and felt it in that own way.
Yeah, I would feel that going back to Green Day when I was a kid. I love that, if you really look at those early albums, which nobody ever does, the early ones, he was just like a teenager. And he would write about anything from love to just like what he was doing on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? And that's what, there you go. Exactly. I was alone. But I loved just that feeling I had when I was a kid, that you could write like just about how your day was, whether it was good, bad, or whatever. Like,
I feel it. Like, it's funny. Sometimes, you can get deep, but I also wrote that it burns when I pee. You know what I mean? So,
I think there's a certain magic to that too. Like, where like songs don't always have to have a deep meaning. Sometimes they're just catchy and fun.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that. But I mean, for me personally, I have a hard time writing about things that I don't know. So like when I look back at my old band was called the B-Side Bastards, and that name got us a lot less gigs than I thought. But like I listened to the songs and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, I've never fought anybody in my life.
I can confirm you, because I was in a band called Lightning Killed My Parents.
Yeah. Wait, what was your band called?
Lightning Killed My Parents. We wrote about like the last dinosaur that ever existed after the meteor hit the earth, and also like really crappy girlfriends, and like I wrote the song about really crappy girlfriends, but I personally have never had a girlfriend, so I can relate to what Mike is saying.
But no, it's I mean, you know, it's funny because those were the two ska bands in Buffalo at the time, and now we've like become one. We've taken some of their members and our members, and we've just become we've matured. So, you know.
Nah, that's awesome. Really is, and you guys write good songs. I'm like listening to that album. I was very surprised at how clean that recording was. Like in a good way. I mean, like it's really
that was
crisp.
Rick Johnson. Rick Johnson from Mustard Plug. That dude knows what he's doing. I love him. I love talking with him. I love dealing with him. We're actually going to go skiing soon, so hopefully I'll love skiing with him. But he's just like, he's so much fun, but he gives you the positive feedback that you need. Because like a lot of the times when I play guitar, I just feel like a goober playing guitar. But he's always like, Mike, you're doing really good. You know, he's giving that positive feedback. But he also tells you he's not going to produce, and then he produces. And that's what I love about him. He's like, I'm not going to produce. And then he'll like text like Mike Park and be like, Mike, I'm producing. That's really funny. But then like,
you've been playing for a long time though, because when I met you, it wasn't with the Abruptors. I met you in Toronto, right? At the Bovine Sex Club.
Yep. 737. And that's funny because that was the day I broke up the B-Side Bastards to start the Abruptors. So I had a show booked with B-Side Bastards with you. And they said to me, well, if your band's no longer here, like, what are we going to do for a band? I'm like, I have another band called 737. And that's how we ended up coming there. And I took 737 and put them in the Abruptors. So
it all makes sense now.
It's this big, just melting pot of like ska bands from Buffalo that ended up becoming the Abruptors. We don't have the bass player anymore, but the drummer has stayed with me for the longest. He's been my musical partner for longer than anybody else. So
and a very good dude too.
He's awesome. He's
cheers.
Awesome. Cheers to Alex.
Yes,
he hates when I say my musical partner, because he is his own person and he is better than me musically in every way. I want him to know that if he watches this. He is the heart of the Abruptors.
Alex, you're the heart of the USA.
Yeah, there you go.
The whole USA.
But he's the best. Like, he's stayed with me through so many bands, like especially when band members like myself and other band members would get into fights. He'd stay out of the fight, but he wouldn't ditch me. He never left me. He never like was like, dude, fuck you, I'm gone. But he always stayed. And he loves the band. And that's what I can always say about Alex is he's an amazing drummer and he just absolutely loves this band.
Absolutely. So what's next for you guys? Like, you know, maybe one day we'll get out of this pandemic. Like you guys are working on music, like you're saying. Are you going to release it before the pandemic's over, or wait till it's over? What's the plan?
No, so we're talking to Mike Park, and he wants us to release this EP, only 3 songs in like little sections. So 3 songs, one at a time. So we're probably, I'd say within the next week or 2, we're going to release a video and the new single for a brand new tune.
Wicked.
We'll be doing like another single after that, another single after that. But those are a cover and a redo of a song. And then we'll be actually recording the second album once we get feedback from how the demos sound.
Makes sense. The reason I was asking the question is because there's like I've obviously been talking to a lot of musicians, and a lot of people are like, man, I'm scared to put out an album, not be able to play behind it. And then by the time pandemic's over, they're like, the album's old. And or other people are like, fuck it, we're putting it out now. You know what I mean? Yep. So there's both sides of the fence on this, you know?
Yeah. I think my personal feeling in this whole pandemic is that people are like hungry for more. So you're bored, you're sitting at home, you don't know what to do. Somebody releases an album and you're super excited because you're listening to it 20 times because, you know, it's not like you can go out. So I personally feel like releasing an album now is great because people want to hear new stuff. They're looking for something that's exciting. And that's kind of how I feel about the second album. My personal goal, so I'm not going to make any promises for the band, is to have it recorded by fall, is to have it like ready to go by fall, is my goal. Now I set pretty
lofty,
yes. I set pretty lofty goals and Mike tries to make me more realistic. But that's what I'm hoping for.
I'm coming around to her idea. I think that I'm in that camp that I'm worried that like we'll put it out and people will be like, "Oh, that was great," and then by the time we get back out there, they'd be like, "What else you got?" So yeah, I'm just kind of worried. I don't know. I want to see
we have
how.
like 8 months to write a whole new album.
I know,
So.
and we've already got a couple songs for album 3, so we're not hurting for music, thankfully.
Yeah,
But-
it's really interesting though, because like through the pandemic, it really shows like some bands are more comfortable with online stuff than others. Like, you know, some bands, you know, may have done some shows or not too many people heard them, but then through the pandemic and they're very online type people have kind of like, you know, gotten out there more than some mainstays even that are just like, fuck it, we're not doing anything until it's over. You know, it's kind of an opportunity for some newer bands, I find, in a weird kind of way as well, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I think that's our problem is we've just tried to discover how we are online. We're not usually good at it.
No, we suck.
Yeah. When it comes to online, we're just not great. Like, yo, here's a picture of somebody. Cool.
We're both kind of like self-conscious introverts, I would say,
Yeah.
right? So like you ask us to put ourselves out there online in a photo, and we're like, do I look weird? Like,
We're trying to be better.
we're working on it.
Yeah.
That's like a personal goal. I
Because
would say.
there's other bands that we're friends with that were like, we're very jealous of their online presence.
Their
We're like-
ability to be likable.
We're like, oh my God, you guys do everything online and everybody loves you. Like, how do you do that? We don't know how to be personable like that.
Like, do I put a t-shirt on my turtle?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I don't have a hamburger costume. Where do you get those? Like, it's just weird, but it's like we're trying. Because you get if you don't change with what people are doing, then you're gonna get left behind.
Well, that's it. You know, it's interesting also because, like you're saying about the online stuff. Another discussion we had the other day was about this whole, you know, Spotify and stuff. Well, I was making the argument that before the pandemic, a lot of people didn't care that much about Spotify because that wasn't their main source of income. You know, it was live shows, selling albums at shows, stuff like that, or even radio play, or you know. But now all of a sudden, because of what's going on, these streaming sites are becoming the number one source. And now everybody's freaking out when they realize that they're not really paying.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so now all of a sudden it's important, but we just didn't care that much because it wasn't our priority before.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I also feel like, you know, when it goes to like payment, I do sympathize with the bands who are getting billions of plays and no money. But at the same time, we didn't start a ska band because we thought we were making money. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing. I mean, I don't want anybody to think that we don't sympathize because, yes, they should be paid. Every artist should be paid what they're worth. Absolutely. But, you know, we came into this band knowing that we were going to be a ska band. So we do it for the love of the music, not so much for.
And flipping burgers on the side, right?
Right. I mean, you know, that's like I said, I keep my job so I can keep funding this.
Absolutely. It's a very delicate balance, you know?
Well, we didn't have Spotify for about 5 or 6.
Yeah, when it was taken away from us, we were like,
Right. All of our music was taken down. We were like, what?
Wow, that's still insane.
there's like, we could make a whole episode on that, but we don't want to harp on it because we're
Right.
moving on. But yeah, it's like, we really moving on.
And honestly, it's not going to do anything for you, and it's not going to make you feel better at the end anyway.
No.
All you can do is move forward, my friends.
Right. What made us feel better is the fact that we came out of this as the Abruptors. That's all I meant.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you would have told me this before the outcome, I'd be like, there's no fucking chance in the world somebody else could call them the Abruptors. You have enough witnesses around to say that you're the motherfucking Abruptors. Yeah.
That's really what like we thought too, because this person tried to make their own Abruptors page and nobody liked it. And then a lot of people contacted us. They're like, yo, what's this dude's problem? Like, they never recognized him as the Abruptors.
Well, and then like at first we were like, oh, maybe we do have to change our names so we
Yeah.
can just move on. Some of them were like the abrupt ones, the abruptness. We were like, this is all stupid.
It was stupid. It sounded terrible. We're like, no, we're the
like
Abruptors.
no
Like, fuck you.
other option
Yeah.
other than what we did.
Yeah, man. Now check it out. I'm gonna end this episode with from both of you 3 albums that everybody should hear. Tony, you're on first. Now speak loud
Oh my
into the
God,
microphone.
no, I don't
3
know.
albums on the spot. Hit me now. Wow.
Oh my God, I don't know. You go first.
Oh man, I'm so bad at this.
I know.
This is the sound of anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes!
That's
And you know what's so funny? That's our whole second album.
Yeah,
Is the sound
we're
of
not-
anxiety.
we're not good with this stuff.
That could have been an alternative name.
Mhm.
Sound of anxiety. You go. I feel like you were.
I don't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna like watch back and think, oh my God, I said the wrong things.
Well, don't worry, because the next question was, what's your guilty pleasure listening?
Oh God, I'll tell you too. That one I already know off the top of my head. Can I start there?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go with I want to go with Insomniac from Green Day, just because laugh at me.
You're gonna laugh at me too.
Because I don't know, I just think that was like such a raw emotion because he was so mad at his former friends for just ditching them basically. And it was like written, it's such raw emotion of early 20s angst. It was awesome. I loved it. And I think that, that could really fuel a lot of people's fires. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah, man.
I think also for me personally, that got through a lot of tough times was totally Heartbreaks and Shadows by
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry, the audio cut out there.
the second one's Heartbreaks and Shadows by Deal Sound Bad.
Mm.
It's just absolutely from beginning to end. I know like everybody loves The Ramblers, which is their first album. Well, not actually their first album, but the first one with Todd. But the second one with Todd, Heartbreaks and Shadows, was just beautiful. Just beautifully written, beautifully made, just everything about it. And it never gets any credit. And I think
And Todd's a fantastic dude, man.
absolutely so fun. We were supposed to play with him before the pandemic, and just on Slack. And I love him. He's so nice, and just I love his voice. Oh my God, his voice just makes me it's so great. So great. So that's two. I got two.
Okay, Green Day, Deal's Gone Bad, and
Yeah. I'm gonna go from a worker's standpoint. Roll On by The Living End.
I knew that's where you were
Shut
going.
up. Because I work for a union, and that was a big unionized album. Totally. I love like just how they put power in the worker, and I just think a lot of what they said was so true. Even
right
though,
on.
it's just like it still rings true. So
Tony, you're on deck. Here we go.
All
3
right.
albums.
So while we were talking, I made a iPhone note album. So you talk about. I already talked about two of these bands and people earlier. So I'm kind of an emo kid at heart. So growing up, he teases me all the time, but kind of like more emo type bands. The first album is One Fell Swoop by the Spill Canvas, which I already talked about. The second one is Vacancy by Bayside. I really
good album.
enjoy.
I like that one.
He enjoys
I
it
like
too,
that one.
which is how you know it's good because he actually enjoys the music
it's
that I
really
sent
good.
him. And then the third one is super kind of fangirly, but I really enjoyed Folklore by Taylor Swift during the pandemic because how do you write a whole album in isolation and it's amazing? I don't know. That's just my
With other people helping you,
yeah,
remain
but
uncredited.
listen. I watched the documentary and she wrote it with her. She wrote it with her songwriting partners. Those are my three.
All right, now you're in the car alone. Nobody else is knowing what's the guilty pleasure album.
All right, so I'm gonna just go out and say I hid it from everybody, but dead serious, like a lot.
I found it.
Like Barbie Girl, Aqua, like not even that song. I like a lot of their songs.
I love that you just.
I love Aqua. They're really good. She has a really weird voice, and it's awesome.
Tony?
I'm gonna be lame and say it for a third time, but I really do enjoy Taylor Swift's Lover.
I was gonna say, when you listed the 3 albums, I was gonna say not the guilty pleasures yet.
Swift is definitely my guilty pleasure because it's like she's a popular choice, I guess, but that's what it is. I don't know.
Guys, it's so fantastic to see your beautiful faces. I can't wait till, we can fucking drive around the world again and go everywhere. And I know I'll see you out there. All right, you guys stay safe. Send all my love to everybody in the band. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. Thank you for showing up. This is amazing. You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We miss you guys.
Miss you guys too. Take care, guys.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Boom! Came and don't know shit.